Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we're going to talk about T3, also known as Cytomel. But first, I have to reiterate, I am not a doctor, so anything that I tell you in this video is used for your entertainment purposes only. I am not advising nor condoning you to use any of the things that we talk about, and what you do with this information is completely up to you. So let's get into this. T3, also known as Cytomel, is a pretty fascinating thyroid hormone drug, and it's medically used for people that have thyroid problems, but as we know, bodybuilders are going to be using it to help them increase their metabolism and to also burn fat. Now, TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. That's what you'll see on blood work a lot of times when you get it, and that's what that means. And blood work can show if a person is hyper or hypothyroidism, which means this. Hyper is an overactive and hypo is an underactive thyroid. Now, TSH is actually a product, all right, or produced when TRH, also known as thyrotropin releasing hormone, is released in the brain. And what that does is it triggers the pituitary glands to produce T3 in order to control the body's metabolism. This is why people that have a slower metabolism will sometimes get T3 prescribed to them by their doctors to actually help them to avoid the different negative side effects of this condition. Things like fatigue, weight gain, slow heart rate, depression, joint issues, and a puffy face. Now, there's different ideas on this, but insufficient lifestyles and diets are contributing factors to people with this issue. It's definitely common in older women. And some people simply can't help it. But a lot of the things, that go wrong here with thyroids are people that are lacking in certain areas health-wise, that they're doing it to themselves. Trust me when I tell you, some people just have this condition. But you can at least try to mitigate this from happening by living a better lifestyle. Now, what happens when we actually use T3? Well, people that are prescribed T3 will sometimes be put on it for life, all right? And this is what doctors do. They treat conditions with medications. But bodybuilders do not want to go down this road and will choose to cycle T3 instead. All right, they're going to use it for a period of time, come off for a period of time. So, for example, let's say a normal male, the body produces around 25 micrograms of T3. So just like steroids, when you run any T3 dose, it's going to actually suppress your body's production of it. So if you run 25 micrograms of T3, you're going to be replacing the 25 micrograms of T3 you naturally produce with exogenous T3. So most bodybuilders are going to run at least 40 to 50 micrograms at least to get real results. When you run twice as much T3 as your body's producing, you're obviously going to then create an environment of an overactive thyroid. As a result, everything in your body's going to then ramp up and burn from fat to muscle. Now, this is the mistake many people make as they use T3 improperly and burn away muscle and strength that they work so hard to obtain in the first place. Now, let's talk about catabolism from T3. So, technically, T3 isn't really catabolic at all, but that word can mean a lot of different things. And the bottom line is that running T3 alone would be pretty foolish, all right? Because, as you could probably imagine here, no bodybuilder really wants to lose muscle, all right? It doesn't really go hand in hand. So, I've never heard of any person say they actually want to lose muscle. I mean, I haven't seen that. I'm sure there's people out there, so I'm sure I'll get a comment about it that people don't care. But how can you prevent losing muscle and still take advantages of the boosted metabolism from T3? The solution, you got to stack it with steroids. I mean, that's the way to do it. I mean, unfortunately, that's it. Some of you are going to worry about suppression from anabolic steroids, but remember that T3 causes thyroid suppression because it's a hormone too. So if you're going to run T3, stacking it with steroids is really the best route to take. It should be ran at a minimum of 40 to 50 micrograms per day because the body produces 25 on its own, and you want to get past that mark. So let's say that splitting dosages throughout the day is necessary. All right, I don't necessarily agree with that. You could do it once a day. People are going to give you different concepts and ideas. That's up to you what you want to try. You can split it if you want, but it's not necessary. The more advanced lifters, they're going to run T3 a lot higher, 75 to even 100 micrograms daily. I've heard people run it for up to 6 months at a time. I don't personally think that's a good idea. I'd recommend it running it for 8 weeks at a time maximum until you get a lot more experienced with it. And even then, I'm not necessarily sure I like it. You can stack it with SARMs, GW501, 516, SR 9009. You can do that as well. Cutting steroids, Winstrol, Primo, Mast, you can definitely stack them with those extremely well. You could do it on a bulking cycle to try to mitigate some of the unwanted gain that you get there. You could do it with anything. A lot of people will use it with Tren too. Using any of these steroids is going to help you prevent losing muscle and still build strength in the process. Now, let's talk about some side effects, because I'm not the biggest fan of T3, and anybody that follows me knows that. It can cause fatigue, shakiness, night sweats, heart strain issues. I don't like that. I don't like any things that do that. If you start experiencing this, you should lower your dose or just discontinue it. Now, what you choose to stack with T3 can make these symptoms worse. So if you're running every steroid out there under the sun, and with T3 or Clen, for example, then you stack T3 in with all of these, you're going to have a ton of side effects, man. You just are. A major mistake a lot of people make is that they want overnight results instead of actually putting in the time and the effort and the work and using things the right way instead of being abusive and careless. You still need to do this properly. You think you can run everything under the sun with it and do this and do that, and I always see people stacking Clen with it. That is one of the worst stacks that I think any human could ever go with. I mean, first of all, it's like a quick fix and it's not going to last. You're not going to sustain this. You can't stay on these forever, especially Clen. So what you're doing is looking for a result right then and there that's not going to last and could end up leaving you worse off later in the long run because of side effects and gaining the weight back. It's just not smart. Just like steroids, some people do use T3 long term, stay on it forever, and just flat out abuse it. All right? People always think they want a constant increase in metabolism over and over and over, but you can't abuse these things. From all the medical evidence that we have out there, there's zero to think that using T3 long term could injure your thyroid, but I've talked and seen to a lot of people that abuse T3, and it will become difficult to stay away from it once you start abusing it. So you may find it necessary to actually use T3 in order to stay at the body fat you want, and it could come down to psychological factors of being dependent on that, things of that nature. There's many people who swear their T3 abuse has led them to having thyroid problems. All right? It's really essential to stop this, after 8 weeks or less and cycle it and do it properly. I wouldn't go over 100 micrograms too, but everybody's different. Everybody thinks they know, much more than the facts and etc. and they want to push things to the limit. I'm not that guy, and I don't recommend that kind of thing. I don't like seeing it, and it's nothing I believe in. But to each their own. Not insulting anybody or telling you what you can and cannot do. Just my opinion. I'm a little bit more conservative than others when it comes to this. So once you stop T3, it's going to take some time for your thyroid to recover and your body to produce the normal 25 micrograms per day as well. So you've got to remember that. So that's T3 Cytomel for you. Not the biggest fan, but I'm always going to give you the facts, good and bad, regardless of what I think, because if I don't, I'm doing you a disservice. So, that being said, www.icearms.com/forums. You can also email me, dylan@icearms.com. And remember, I'm on the Evolutionary Forum and Elite Fitness Forum as well. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.